Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, Ben White, Maximum Gravy, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Muted, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Turned it on, and I'm already worried that we're going to war with Russia using chemical weapons. I'm just...
You turned on your TV and instantly you're worried about the war with Russia.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it's kind of a thing, that they're talking about now, I guess.
And listen, how do you think I feel? As soon as I come home, my wife hits me with a million things. I'm like, would you shut that thing off? It's all a bunch of baloney. Nathan said he was in theater and he went to acting school, and he said it's all a bunch of bullcrap.
I don't know if he exactly said that. He just said it could be a bunch of bullcrap.
No, he said everything on TV is a lie.
Yeah, I pretty much said that.
I don't know if everything's a lie, but it could be a lie.
A lie is an extreme word. There's an element of staging, and you can call that deception, in almost, without exception, everything on television. Because it has to be. That's the way it is. It is staged, it is set up, it is orchestrated. That's how you capture footage.
Well, yeah, I know they call it programming for a reason, right?
Exactly. Listen, I had to come to terms with the fact that all sports are fixed. It is. It's a fact. I still watch it, though.
Sound like JLB, that's what he says. All sports are fixed. I still really like my, whatever it is he likes, cricket, football, I don't know what his sport poison is.
Well, I finally got past the ability to watch space movies and being like an intolerable asshole while I do it, Like, I can finally shut up about it.
Oh, my God. Speaking of space movies, did you see the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi yet? If you haven't, you have to see it. I can't wait. It's going to be like 6 movies.
Yeah, I don't care. I did see the trailer for Top Gun Maverick, though, on one of my YouTube ads.
That's another one I can't wait for.
Yeah.
Does Tom Cruise come out in a walker?
Well, it doesn't look as old as you might expect, actually, in the trailer.
Come on,
I honestly,
good.
At first, when the trailer rolled, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Why are they re-releasing Top Gun? And by then, there'd been a few shots of Tom Cruise on. And it took me, I don't know, at least a minute to actually realise, no, this is a new movie. So suddenly it's like, oh, so Tom Cruise looks surprisingly good, considering that for at least a minute, I thought they were just re-releasing the old movie from the 80s. Now, obviously now, if I went back at it, I'll realise almost immediately that he's a lot older than that movie. But without it being side by side, with just, here's a movie with people in, what are they, in F-16s flying around. That's Top Gun, isn't it? Right? So seeing Tom Cruise, I'm like, well, they're re-releasing Top Gun. And then, like I say, a minute in, you're like, oh, actually, no, this is a completely new movie.
You want to hear something interesting about Tom Cruise that's they don't ever report on? He's dyslexic.
Can it be recorded? Will it be okay on YouTube? Yeah, if so, go ahead.
He's dyslexic, right?
Yeah, he's dyslexic, so his supporting cast have to read him the scripts the day before. And, like, there's a lot of screaming involved with that because he keeps getting his lines wrong because of his dyslexia.
I had exactly the same problem. So I'm dyslexic. I had exactly the same problem. Which led to an interesting story, because to do the lines and try and memorise them, I'd have to do them out loud. In other words, you know, in a kid's reading a book and they're reading the words out loud, I'd do that with a script when I was in performing arts school. And I was doing this once, and I was just walking along the road, right? Walking to where, I can't remember where I was going, but I'm walking and I'm crossing a street, reading out this script. And suddenly this beamer screeches to a halt. Guy gets out and says, "What the effing hell did you say to me?" I'm like, "What?" I don't know what's going on at this point. It's like, "What did you say to me?" I said, "I didn't say anything to anybody. I'm reading a script." So the guy looked at me with this dumbfounded look on his face because I'm literally holding a script. And he's like, "Oh, right." Gets back in his car and drives off. He thought, as I was walking along reading these lines out, he thought I was cursing him out in his car while he drove past me. I'm not even paying attention, to him. But he's out there looking for someone that's giving him grief.
That's funny.
He's having a bad day.
Maverick was supposed to be released 2 years ago, but because of the COVID thing, it's been held back. It was supposed to come out last 4th of July. It didn't. So I've been waiting for this for a while.
There's going to be a lot of blockbusters released.
Well, they released certain movies that clearly were dogs, like Matrix, right? Has anybody talked about the new Matrix movie? Not really. Came out, I saw a few critics panic, and then that was it. It was done and dusted and over with before anybody got any interest in it. Well, that's because it was released during the COVID lockdown, or towards the tail end of it at least. But you're like, well, who's going out to the cinema? I mean, I did. Every time the cinema was open during that period, I went there with my kids. I went and saw, I can't remember what the first movie was, something much more babyish, but I can't remember. The second one was Paw Patrol. In other words, there was little fits and starts where they did reopen things. And as soon as they did, I was like, yeah, I'm going to take advantage. Straight to the pool, straight to the cinema, straight to whatever's open that you publicly can use then, which you couldn't before. But when I went, there was me. There was me and Eleanor in. Me, Eleanor and Clover. That was it. There was nobody in there. So can you imagine if you're releasing Matrix into that sort of environment? Who's going to be in there? Well, on an opening weekend, you might fill half the cinema for the first showing, but that's about it, right? There's so few people going, whereas there's a reasonable chance, unlikely with 2 kids, but you know what I mean? There's a reasonable chance with advertising that I might actually go out and watch that movie in the cinema. Well, a year ago, I definitely wouldn't have. Just no way I'd have been able to arrange care for the kids, or I'd have gone out of my way to watch it. But now, with that being a lot easier, yeah, I probably might go out and watch it. Probably not, but you know what I'm getting at.
Anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be good. It's going to be like 6 individual movies, and I can't wait. It's Ewan McGregor, come on.
Nice. It's like taking offence to something that uses old Greek mythology in the basis of the movie. So I recently bought Jason and the Argonauts and what's the other one of the similar ilk with the stop motion animation? I've forgotten the other one.
I used to love that as a kid, Jason and the Argonauts.
The other one with Medusa. What's the other one called? It's not Jason and the Argonauts. Jason and the Argonauts is the one with the guy with the Achilles heel he lets out all the acid stuff from. But there's another one with Medusa. Anyway, it's not the point. Clash of the Titans. And you'd get there in the end. So I bought a couple of these movies. I've forgotten where I was going with this now. Oh, yeah, Greek mythology or whatever it may be. If you start taking offence because it's based in a religious rhetoric that you just don't adhere to or isn't adhered to generally in the Western world now, that would seem insane to the onlooker. It's like, well, you're watching a movie. It's the suspension of disbelief, right? You don't have to believe that Hercules is up on the clouds looking down on this battle and, saving them with seeds that they can throw into the water to create giants that hold the walls back. If you're not buying into that particular religious, which is what it is, viewpoint, it doesn't matter, right? You can still enjoy the movie. And the same applies to space. You don't have to believe that the sky is a vacuum and that there's planets that you can travel to understand how to suspend disbelief and be conscious of it. That's the only bit that you have to get. The hurdle you have to get over is unconscious versus conscious suspension of disbelief. So you go into the cinema and the surface level of the plot with heliocentrism at its heart, you don't give a second thought to. You suspend disbelief without giving it a second thought. Once you know that that's not true and the sky is not a vacuum, you have to consciously suspend disbelief in the same way you consciously suspend disbelief about Superman flying. That's a conscious suspension of disbelief. And the movie maker can push it too far, but for us, they're not too concerned with how far they push heliocentrism when it's the Western worldview. So we have to go out of our way, knowing what we know, to suspend disbelief and enjoy one of those movies.
I still got to give an eye roll before I do it.
I had a hard time. Yeah, I had a hard time with the space movies at first.
I'm not trying to red hair away from the discussion that is going on, Nathan, but I'd like to ask you a question, if I may.
What, away from the wonderful discussion of movies? Yeah, you do. That's a terrible disservice. Feel free, Don. Right. Feel free.
All right. Well, it's a hypothesis. It's not anything checks out. But what do you think about the idea of the circumference of light over a flat plane?
What do you mean, the circumference of light? You mean the path of the sun?
Yes, the path of the sun, yes. Max visible distance of light over a flat plane.
What about it? That's where you derive equator from, the average over the seasons. But what about it?
So my question is, using the inverse square law, right? Could we have in a, you know how they say we can't trust our senses, right? From time to time, that the apparent edge of that circumference of light could appear spherical, and people are perceiving it as such, but it's just light.
You mean appear spherical? It's not. You mean if you were to measure an angle to it, the angle that you'd measure would be in an arc above your head from your zenith above your head to the periphery at the horizon. You're saying that the arc of that measurement could be perceived as a spherical something. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because we see in a 360, we see in a circle. That's just how our vision works. And the circumference of light over a flat plane would have a circle. Like Auguste Piccard said, it looked like a disc with upturned edges. Well, that's due to the small local sun over a flat plane. So the circumference of light, see, when you look through your vision, in the center of your vision, your aperture, you see further. But your peripheral vision will come closer to you. It would appear to curve to you, if you will.
Okay.
Due to the circumference of light.
But where are you going with this? So far, so good. But where are you going with this?
It's a hypothesis. I have a test I want to do with this pool I have. It's a pretty big pool. I want to mock it up to where it can appear as a globe over a flat plane with light using the inverse square law.
Okay. To achieve what?
To demonstrate that there's times we can't trust our senses, that Globers should understand that light curves. It really does. Not light itself, but the medium that surrounds it.
But we know that to be the case anyway.
Nice. No,
but what I mean is you've got laws that describe that. Snell's law, for example.
Right. Yes, I was going to go to that too. Yes. No. Yeah. Yep. One isotropic medium to another. Yes.
Indeed.
Or nice.
I have an input. I have an input on this. It might help. It seems like all the sunsets that are seen and captured on film or digital, whatever these days, the light constricts from the sides to the center, and then all of a sudden the sun disappears. So you may have a point in that because whatever the shape is, like you're saying, it's a circle. As the sun goes further away, it's constricting. Whereas on the globe model, it should be even or over the whole horizon, and it's not.
Right. Yeah, you're on it. Yup. Yeah, I just wanted to pick at your guys' brain. I mean, I'm still learning. There's a lot of things I still need to learn. I'm not saying I'm the wise guy here, But
Well, we didn't take it that way. I applaud you.
oh, that's
These
good.
are all intrigues that, you know, are fascinating things. It's hard to get a handle on how we would perceive that or to present it to us, because typically if we're being presented within a rhetoric of heliocentrism, we'll pull it apart. And if it's Arwin doing it, we'll pull it apart if it's any sort of speculation. But really, I can't remember who was pointing this out to me recently when they were like, you shut down all speculation. It's like, yeah, because we're in a focused debate. Does that mean that it's not intriguing? Absolutely not. Of course it's intriguing. Do you not think I want to know what the sky is? Yeah, definitely. The problem is discussing it on this show, you're held to task on it. You can't just speculate. Suddenly you're held to task on your mild speculation about what you think the sun might be, for example. So, therefore, it doesn't happen because it's a debating platform. But no, I applaud you. You know, it's fascinating stuff. Look into it as much as possible. Let me know if you get to any answers.
Oh yeah,
Well, we've all
100%.
done-
I have actually. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you can, as a kid playing with a flashlight, you can take a flashlight with the round lens, obviously. And if you bring it over, like say, cardboard or a piece of paper, and if it crosses a line, as it's crossing a straight horizontal line, as you move that flashlight, the circumference of that light on the paper is decreasing as it's the edge of that circle is getting smaller and smaller as you're moving it, to where it gives that same effect as the constricting of the light as it's going away.
Correct. So I have a test I want to do with this pool. I have a 14 by 8 foot pool, and I want to do this eventually. I want to ask you guys though, with this test I want to do. I'm not saying it's an experiment, but it's a test. What's the best way I can utilize the area around? Because obviously I'm not going to be able to get it to scale. There's no way, unless I'm using like different materials or a substance of gases to make it more denser in that medium. But how will I be able to make it as dark as possible around that pool? Do you guys have an answer? I'm just wondering.
I still don't know what you're trying to achieve with this.
I'm trying to demonstrate to Globers that your senses, like they say, you can't always trust your senses, right? So when you look at the circumference, we see a 360. We see in a 360. It's a circle. That apparent circle, due to the light, the sun is a circle, so it comes in as a circle. Your senses are gonna trick you and think you're seeing curvature.
Okay, I don't fully
my
follow, but
best-
fine.
My suggestion would be to juxtaposition with the what the Globers say, and say, "See, I proved my swimming pool is a sphere."
That's my point. That's what I want to do. I want to show them that a small local sun over a flat plane can give you an image of the Earth, a small area, to appear as a sphere, because the edges will be warped as well due to the camera lens, because they're bubbled out as well. Because all camera lenses are. I haven't seen a flat lens.
I don't want to discourage you, but by the same token,
Okay.
if you're going to do something like that, you've got to kind of take head on one of their actual claims. And in this instance, when they're describing what they might perceive, so what? You're not really refuting anything other than what a baller might say. Well, it looks bally to me. But other than that, they've actually got specific claims about what is demonstrating Earth curvature. That's really what you've got to attack.
Well, I got an idea for him. He could take on the claim that it's going under, say, an equator line, and so he's going to say, no, it could be going away and give you the same, what's the word? Census, I guess. I can't think. It's early in the morning. So he's going to take their claim that the reason the sun disappears is because the Earth is turning and now it's dark for us. So, okay, but he's going to say, well, I could do the same thing here on the plane. It's the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Fair enough.
You're right.
Sandra, make sure you video it.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what I
I
say.
do. I definitely will.
Juxtaposition with their claim.
Yeah, John's
Come
on
again?
it. Yeah, John's on it. John is doing, well, let him speak.
Yeah, I didn't make any claim for myself in those kitchen videos. I just utilized their claims, you know, and that's really use their maths, use their claims. That's all you have to do, and then show how it can be done, how it's done with the flat plane.
Getting it down to a small scale will be difficult due to like the medium, the density level. It will be really, really, really difficult. I don't know what substance or I could use to, mimic the Atmo.
Well, no, you just have to get
Yeah,
lower. No, you just have to get lower.
Okay, right? Yeah.
So if you're
But
looking
I need
through,
an isotropic. It's got to be even isotropic. It's got to be
Sure.
uniform.
sure, but you can get as if you're doing it over water, if you're just above the water, you're looking through more of the medium. Now, arguably, you could say, well, that's where you're going to experience a phase change of the water. But essentially, yeah, 6 foot versus 1 inch. So what? You're just trying to scale it down.
Right. Right. You're right. I'm trying to. Well, I'm going to, is what I mean.
Isn't
I
this
definitely appreciate.
visually?
Go ahead.
Just before you go, yeah, isn't this visually seen on that model that we always see of a flat Earth and the sun and the moon turning, and it's half the Earth is dark, half the Earth is light. That image, that GIF.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're. Yep.
Yeah, so you're doing the same thing, but with your own hands. But so obviously, if that light was from a scaling point was bigger or higher, then the whole thing would be lit. But if you bring it down closer to the surface, then obviously it has a hot spot where it's directly over, and then as the light spreads out in the circle, it eventually meets to where it can't be seen anymore, and it's dark from that point on. That's what you're trying to assess
Right.
from a scale.
Yes. Yep. And the thing is, when you're taking, so the thing is, no, as far as I'm aware, nobody goes up there and see it with their own two eyes. We're using camera lens that are bubbled out. So at the edges of those cameras, it's going to be distorted more than it would be at the center of the camera. So that due to the light bending, it will warp and it will appear spherical, even though it's over a flat plane with a local sun.
Fair enough. So
That's
you are literally, challenging people who say, no, it looks spherical. Here's how it appears spherical.
Yeah, you can't trust your senses. It's your senses fooling you.
Okay. Fair enough. I know, that seems like a reasonably worthy endeavour.
Bev will love you for that.
Who?
Bev. He
Why would
hates
Bev?
anything spherical.
He what?
Well, when the light comes from a round lens, it's going to be spherical.
Nope, he hates anything with a sphere.
I don't follow Neil.
Bev, try thinking.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Mention
about.
a circle or sphere about. He hates anything to do with that.
Calling a circle a sphere.
You better not drive on his tires.
Yeah, you're not giving enough detail, Neil.
I gotta get back to you. I'm working.
That's great.
My boss just called me, so I gotta get working.
Perfect time.
I appreciate your guys' feedback and willing to hear me out on this. It's a thought, if you will, that I have noticed because I went out to Lake Michigan and I noticed when I was at mean sea level, the center of my vision was I could see further, and my aperture came out. I was like, okay, wait. It was at sunset actually too as well. The light seemed to scatter more closer to me in my peripheral to curve like an apparent edge, right? Like a circle, like a rim. And it came close. And the higher I went up to 240 feet on the dunes, and it spread out more, and it looked more like a disc. It's amazing. It could be. I have noticed that it could be mistaken as spherical curvature. It's just light it's a local light over a flat plane.
Maybe.
Yeah, until you do celestial. I gotta seize this opportunity. Until you do celestial navigation, and the GP of that light is 3,000-4,000 miles, if not more, and you have to have a right angle. Then it just destroys that whole spherical.
Yeah, well, that's they imagine. It's imagination. They got to curve the sky. I noticed that.
Okay, Bev says that you do not see in the sphere, it's your imagination.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, he's right though, isn't it? It's just down to your perception. So if you look at this diagram on, you can't in Discord, but for the audience and for the guys in G+, it's just describing how you would perceive this star and how if you're holding a tool measuring two lines to it, that's got an arc to it. Well, obviously if this guy turns around, he's got the back half of that arc he can measure. But in reality, what you're actually measuring is two parallel lines, the surface and the sky. So while your perception might give you the appearance of a dome around you, you haven't got that. That's just perception. Imagination, I agree. If he wants to call it imagination, I would agree with him. You can imagine a dome over you.
Well, our caller made it clear.
That's back to our senses. That's back to our senses.
Yeah.
Due to light bending through an isotropic medium. Snell's law.
No, that's not down to light bending. That's just down to how you perceive a flat plane with 180 degrees of vision from that flat plane up to your zenith and back down again to the ground. That's all it is.
Okay.
I was going to say that our caller made it clear that he was talking about the sensory and how we perceive. So he already made that assessment at the beginning.
No, he did.
And the horizon doesn't curve. The horizon is straight, correct?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny how when they say we can't trust our senses, right? But when they look at, so when they invoke refraction, even though they don't know what the heck refraction is, their apparent horizon or that point of tangency, that bulge right there, it's refracted always. And you don't have a tangency to that to get your 7/6R, which is 10 times the radius. How are you going to get 10 times the radius if you can't get a point to that in the first place?
Yeah, you can't.
How is that?
You can't. You can't get R if you can't measure a tangent point. And their tangent point was the geometric horizon, debunked by the Black Swan.